What the fuck is the cube? What does the cube do?
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 2 of The Unusual Suspects. If you haven't listened to the first one, what the hell are you doing here? Go listen to the first one. It was an instant classic with instant classic hits. So go watch the first one. It's fantastic. If you haven't, we may be referring to things as well in the previous podcast. So go listen to it, please. Joining me to my left is Andy. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Joining me to my right is Penny. Hello, Penny.
Hiya.
How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, good. How is everyone since the first episode? Because I had to sit down for like an hour after.
Well, I've been editing it, so I've been listening to it for days, and it still makes me laugh, so it can't be that bad.
And I totally forgot about it.
I still haven't watched both films. I will watch both of your films, by the way, because Jesus Christ. But yeah, they're definitely on my to-do list. So you definitely convinced me.
I think I'm going to buy us the red and blue 3D glasses. They had like a pack of 10 on eBay, so maybe don't watch it till I've sent the glasses.
Didn't you say there was 2 versions of that film? The 3D and then...
There's a 3D if you've got a 3D TV and you're all fancy. Or there's the old school red and blue. So
cheap version, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was £1.39 on eBay for a pack of 10. So I thought I'd treat us.
That's not bad. That's good value.
Oh, I can't wait, guys. We're finally going to find out if the dishes move towards the screen or if they go from left to right. I cannot wait.
I can't wait for you to see a big red and blue pile of Derek.
I can't wait for Derek to explode. Jeez.
It's the 3D banging I'm looking forward to.
It's the summer blockbuster of the year, and we haven't got many of them at the moment, so there you go. Does anyone want to start with stuff they want to say?
I mean, mine's vaguely related to last week, but it won't be as long, so I can go.
Okay.
Crack us off then, Pam.
Let's go.
Oh, it's not that kind of podcast.
Sorry, that was badly worded. Start us off.
Wow. All right. Jesus. Yo, kids, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm in.
So last week I mentioned a film called Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which was a film I'd seen previously and thought it was shit. But the found footage 3D movie reminded me of it, so I thought I'd give it another watch. And it was actually pretty good.
What's the name of it again? Behind
the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Dun, dun, dun. Lots of blank looks going on.
Yeah, give us a breakdown.
So it's a similar thing. It's basically it's a serial killer behind the scenes documentary.
What?
So some students want to do a documentary about the life of a serial killer. Yeah. So it's set in the same world as us, but the horror movie like icons, they mention like Crystal Lake and Elm Street and Haddonfield, and they mention all these places as if they're real and the things that happen there are real. And all the murderers are real, but they're a bit over-familiar with them. They call them Mike and Jay instead of Michael and Jason, and it was really off-putting.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So Leslie is the new Freddy on the block, and he's going to show you basically the job of a serial killer and how they do what they do.
Okay, questions.
Yep, I thought there would be.
Is it a parody?
It is. It's not serious, but it's quite subtle compared to the found footage movie. It knows what it's trying to be, and it's not too in your face.
It sounds like a horror movie version of What We Do in the Shadows.
A little bit, yeah. That's
I haven't seen it, so maybe.
Okay. In which case, like The Office, it's like The Office but with serial killers.
Yes.
Nailed it.
I'm going to go with that. Yeah. So, when Leslie was a little kid, he was abused by his parents, and eventually he got sick of that, so he murdered them.
As you do.
And then when the townspeople found out, they formed an angry mob, went to his house, tied him up, and threw him over a waterfall.
Over a waterfall.
Well, that's the words they use. They throw him off of it, over it,
What is the
into
word?
it.
Off. Well, I think you throw someone off a waterfall.
Yeah.
Not over it. That's quite impressive.
Oh.
They throw him over a river so he avoids the waterfall.
They definitely used the words, they threw him over the falls.
Over the falls. Okay,
So that's their problem.
yeah.
Not mine. So that is the myth of Leslie, which I think is a fantastic name for us.
Leslie Vernon.
Leslie, Derek. Yeah, you're picking all these great names.
Yep. And for his anniversary, it's the anniversary of his death. He's going to show these students how he sets up for the big night, basically.
Sorry.
Yep.
So what he's setting up what he is as a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
What he's going to do.
Yeah, it's hard work. You don't think serial killers can just do it without preparation.
Of course. Why not? How stupid of me.
Yeah, so they have to prepare. It's not as easy as you think. That's what I've learned from this movie.
I saw this film made $69,000 in the box office.
Honestly, the first time I watched it, I was like, this was shit, but I actually rather enjoyed it this time round. So It's basically showing you the mechanics of a horror movie. So say you were watching The Talking Dead, The Walking Dead after show, and they show you how they do a certain effect or something. It's kind of like that.
So it's behind the scenes to this slasher Behind the Mask film. So Behind the Mask is the film, right?
Yeah, and Behind the Mask, they don't ever say what it is called. He basically takes the students through the steps. So his first step is he needs to set up the legend of him. You know, so he's got murdered by the townspeople, and on a harvest moon night, if you go to where he used to live, there's blood on the ground and you can hear his mum like swinging from the trees. Ooh, because he hung.
And Derek shows up.
And there he sets up the location of his house. So where the end of a horror movie happens and everybody dies in the house, he sets that up. And then he just seems like a pretty normal guy. The month before, he takes them through his exercise routine. He has to do a lot of cardio because he has to make it look like he's walking.
I'm sorry. Penny's now going to be known as the woman who explains movies that are not really films, but they're also just simulating life. Just, you know.
It's only after last week I was like, I have to see if this is still as bad as I thought it was.
Okay.
Yeah, so you know, the kids that are getting killed are running around.
Mike
Pops out. He's not even out of breath. He's just walking. So you've got to do a lot of cardio to make it look like you've just been walking around and making it easy. I told you it's not easy.
I have always found in horror films that they're normally big dudes, right? Mike Myers is like 7 foot.
Yeah.
And yet he's got the dexterity and agility of a fucking cat.
Yeah.
Because he just pops up out of hedges like no one notices.
That's because he prepares. Yeah, it's all that preparation. This is what Leslie is teaching you. You need to take notes if you want to be a serial killer.
One can drink, kids. One can drink.
Yep. Then it shows you how he chooses his victims. So he takes them on a little ride along to a school and basically just describes how you need like a bunch of really hot kids that are going to have loads of sex. But you also need a bunch of like weird kids or stoner kids that don't move very quickly to like pad out the numbers. Yeah, makes sense. And then you have to find your survivor girl, which really annoys me because she's called a final girl, not a survivor girl. And the only rule of her is she needs to be a virgin.
Right.
Of course.
Okay, we watch horror films, we know this.
What is the age group he's looking at? Because I imagine...
Like college kids.
Yeah, that's
like 18.
difficult to find, right?
Not if you go to a college and hang around outside like they did in the movie.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I forgot. This is an educational series.
It's a mockumentary, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Okay.
Yeah, it's very educational. And then step 3, you've got to start creeping out the final girl. And this is where the mechanics of it start to come into it. So the setup is he knows where she works and he knows what time she's going to go out and put out the trash. You know, in a movie, the door slams, she's like, oh, and then she turns around and then she thinks she sees the murderer and then she turns around again and he's not there. And he basically puts a brick in the gap in the door. So when she opens the door, it doesn't shut. And then he's got a brick on a fishing wire and he pulls it out.
This sounds like the worst serial killer ever.
It's amazing.
It sounds incredible.
Yeah. Once you're like, oh, how did they get that door to shut in a movie?
Yeah.
But they're playing it off as how he would do it in life. Like, that's actually kind of cool.
It's like, did anyone ever used to watch Behind the Magic?
Yeah.
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 It's a little bit like that when they show you the trick and they go, this is how we did it. Kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. But with a worse mask. Leslie's mask is bad.
What is it?
It's kind of blue. I can't really explain it to you. You guys might need to look it up, but it is one of the worst masks.
What the?
And I imagine they've done that on purpose.
That's like an unhappy Jim Carrey in The Mask. What the hell is that? What is that?
Oh dear.
That is... Okay, if you ever put a thumbnail for this podcast episode, that has to be the thumbnail.
That's the one. But he never explains why the mask, but you do see him later on when he's preparing for the night putting the makeup on. So kind of a bit like that scene in The Joker, the new Joker movie.
Yeah.
But he explains how it's like his own concoction of makeup. So he's like, oh, it's like Vaseline and it's got like flame retardant stuff in it. So it explains like, you know, if you set the serial killer on fire, that's why he's not going to die, because he's wearing flame retardant gel on his face.
Oh, it makes so much sense. I've just never thought about it before.
Yeah.
It's all true.
So, you know, it kind of treats serial killers as a profession. They talk about it very much as a profession, and he goes to his friend Eugene's house, who is played by Scott Wilson, R.I.P. Scott Wilson, love him. And he's retired. He was a serial killer in the 60s and the 70s. So he's kind of like his Obi-Wan. He's teaching him, like giving him advice about being a serial killer. And he talks about, back in the old days, it was about how many jobs you could get in. Like, they don't talk about it like murder. They just talk about it like a job and a service.
Where do you find these things?
I could not tell you where I found this originally, but...
Yeah, The Mask is still... I'm having that as a screensaver, man. That's...
It's terrible. And it turns out that Eugene's taught him all about sensory deprivation tanks. When he gets to Eugene's house, his wife lets him in, and she's like, oh, he's in a tank out the back. And they have to go and dig him up from his sensory deprivation tank, which will help you slow your heart rate and your breathing so you look like you're dead when you're not really dead. Another very useful skill for serial killers.
Yeah, that would come in handy.
Maybe not serial killers. What do they call them? Supernatural serial killers, like Mike and Jay and Fred.
Fred.
Chad.
Chad. Vic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's picked his victims, he's got the location, he's got to connect it all together. So normally in a movie, the final girl will find some sort of article or something that connects her to the spooky things that's been going on. So basically Vernon photoshops a newspaper article and leaves it in a library for her to find.
Right.
And she finds it. And it basically says that her great uncle was related to Leslie, or was Leslie. I can't remember the connection because I was too busy laughing. But she finds it. So then that's the point in the movie where she's like, oh, I need to find out what's going on. And, you know, the final girl goes and does her own research. She goes to the library to check out the old archives and the microfiche and check that it's true. So Leslie also has to go there and change all the microfiche for the lie that he's made, so that when she checks, she thinks it's true.
It sounds like a lot of work. It's a full-time career being a serial killer.
It's a full-time job.
I can understand why his mask looks so fucking shit now, because he's put all his time into doing everything else and not his design. His brand management is dreadful, but his execution, spot on.
Yeah, he's nothing if not prepared. And then a weird bit comes in. Freddy Krueger comes in, played by, well, Robert Englund comes in, who is Freddy Krueger. And he plays a psychiatrist who treated Leslie back in the day. And he's the doctor in Halloween. You know, he's the one that knows that serial killer's going to come back and he has to stop him. He's the Ahab, which is not a term I've ever heard in a serial killer movie before, but he's the one that's going to try and stop Leslie. And Leslie needs him because this whole job is about good and evil. And yeah, if Leslie's going to be the evil, he'd need someone to be the good to stop him.
Right.
I see.
It's all very serious, but not really.
So this is a film.
It does sound like a fever dream.
A little bit, yeah.
No, I made this up. No, this is a film. It's available on Amazon Prime for free, and I believe it's on Shudder. So if anyone wants to check this one out as well.
Definitely.
Guys, go.
This one was better than the found footage one.
It sounds more interesting. Like, the found footage one just made me just angry. Like, the whole time, because of the way they were just saying, you know, using the tropes and stuff. But this actually sounds quite, like, interesting.
Yeah, like the jokes about Mike and Jay and Freddie, like there are jokes in it and it's not serious, but it's subtle and it's not like, the audience is stupid for watching found footage movies. And
Yes, it sounds quite clever in the way that it's done. In the same way that The Office was very clever for how it perceived as a real documentary a long time ago. I think this sounds like the same sort of thing.
Yeah. So the students are still following him, and they getting to a couple of days before, and Leslie has to set up the house. He's basically got it all planned out, how it's going to go. He's like, okay, so the kids are going to be there getting drunk, and then the two hot ones are going to go upstairs and bang each other, and that's where I'm going to kill them. So he changes the bed sheets, which is very nice of him.
Nothing if not courteous.
One clean bed sheet.
Egyptian cotton, I hear.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm going to kill them, but nobody's going to know, so I can use them as a scare later. He's got the fuse box rigged to a remote control so that he can turn the lights off when he needs to, you know, what's going on. Oh, the lights have gone off. He starts to get things moving. It's his attention to detail. He goes into the kitchen and takes all the flashlights out of the drawer, changes the batteries, puts dead batteries in them. It's something I wouldn't have thought of. I probably would have just thrown out the flashlights, but he puts dead batteries in them.
Does Leslie have a YouTube channel with this?
I hope so.
Because he could do pranks or us, like really go for it on the prank channel.
It's a bit like that. He's set up this like pranked house, but you're going to get murdered.
Yeah, it's a weird. I think he'll do well.
Yeah. So the lights have gone out. The flashlights are all dead, which forces them to go down into the basement. And that's where he's going to kill a couple more of them. He's got it all planned out. He also has a shed, which has got a bunch of weapons in them. He messes with all the weapons. So he just breaks them slightly. Like there's an axe, but he's like ground down the handle or something. So when they do one swing, it's going to break as soon as you use it. The head's going to come off the sledgehammer.
Sorry, is he doing this for style or substance? You know, it's kind of like, why?
Substance.
It's probably for his own safety, I would have thought.
Really?
Yeah. He was like, as long as they don't get a good shot with that first axe blow, then it will just break and then they can't use it again.
Okay.
Yes, serial killer health and safety is very thorough.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, only for the serial killer.
Good point.
Yeah. They talk about how eventually they always run upstairs and they get stuck upstairs and they climb out onto the roof.
That's where they get you.
Classic trope. And the student, who is very smart, asks, why don't they ever smash out the windows? He's like, I don't know. They just never do. They always climb out onto the roof and then they try and climb down a tree. So he cuts all the massive branches off the tree so that they can't climb onto them. And he slightly cuts the smaller ones so that when they do jump onto the tree, all the small ones break and they fall to the floor, which is what happens in a lot of horror movies.
The part-time serial killer, part-time tree surgeon.
The student also asks why he doesn't do anything with the closet. And it's because the closet is a sacred space. Like, serial killers have a code of ethics. And part of that code of ethics is that you can't mess with the closet. It's a sacred space. It's reminiscent of the womb. It's safe. That is apparently, according to Leslie, the safest place to be. So that's another bit of advice if you're running from a serial killer.
Hide in the wardrobe.
I feel like I've been transported to media class. And we're learning about the effects of horror and what they do to create suspense. Yeah.
It's a little bit. Once I can see what they've done with this, it's actually really clever. Apparently, 2006.
2006? Oh, I thought it was like a 90s film.
Nope.
It's like, oh, okay.
However old I was in 2006, I didn't appreciate this movie because I thought it was terrible. I'm pretty sure I had it on DVD and I couldn't find it when I went to watch it, so I've chucked it out as well. That's how much I didn't like it.
Did you see other mockumentaries before this, though, would you say?
2006 was a long time ago.
The Office was 2001, so...
Yeah, I think I just thought it was stupid.
Because I always had... Now, I know it's a serial killer, and this is going to sound really, really stupid of me, but, like, I always, when I first saw mockumentaries, I didn't know that they were not, you know... Some of them, I thought they were real. I thought The Office was real for a long period of time. I thought it was a legit Office.
Yeah, I think by this point, you knew it was a mockumentary, but maybe I just missed the point. It happens. Yeah. And he also talks about a bit later on when the kids get there that he's going to mess with all the spark plugs in the car because obviously they're going to get in the car and they're not going to be able to get away. Yeah, and then it's just the students following him around as he does his thing. The kids turn up and Leslie tries to put his plan into action. Not going to spoil the end in case anyone does want to watch it.
I mean, I'm definitely watching this.
It's about 5 hours of tutorial videos. Like,
It's a how-to guide.
Pretty much.
now, in order to get your omelette just right,
Yeah, the thing I mostly took away from this was that if you want to survive this type of horror slasher movie, either don't hang out with virgins or just run like fuck and don't stop.
Hide in closets.
Or hide in closets. Eugene was basically, if this happens to you, then just run and keep running and run and don't look back and hope that everyone else is slower than you.
I mean, I would be fucked. I'm going to have to start working on my cardio.
Yeah, that's because you weren't preparing for a month before doing your cardio like Leslie was.
No, I've been gathering snacks in the closet.
Wait, wasn't that an R. Kelly? Oh, controversial.
snacks in the closet.
I do want to talk about Trapped in the Closet, but I don't know if that's...
Yeah, I think that's a whole podcast, isn't it?
Yep.
Snacks in the Closet is a good spin-off, though.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the rise of Leslie Vernon. If you want quite a clever mockumentary, I'd go with that one. If you still want a very confusing ghost movie, watch Found Footage 3D.
It sounds like they're opposite scales of the spectrum.
Yeah, I feel quite bad that watching Found Footage 3D made me think of this movie because this was much better.
I was going to say, found footage just sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
A red and blue nightmare.
Yeah, this one sounds interesting to
Yeah.
learn about stuff, but yeah. Not real stuff, obviously. You're not going to obviously learn from it. Oh,
Yeah, don't become a supernatural serial killer.
Yeah,
and if you do, it had nothing to do with
I'm
us.
sure they put a disclaimer at the start of the movie, maybe.
Oh, sorry. Are we really giving public service announcements to not become paranormal serial killers?
No, I'm going to drown this out, all right? Right.
I have no idea how much cardio I have to do. It's ridiculous.
Why so much?
Well, you gotta be able to run like a freaking gazelle without getting winded. Plus, there's that whole thing of making it look like you're walking, and everybody else is running their asses off.
Oh, right.
And I gotta stay with them.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
Very good. Okay, Andy, do you want to go next? You want me to go?
No, I can go say this is starting to turn into a horror podcast.
Yeah, sorry.
But I recently watched Brightburn. Have you seen it?
Nope.
Remind me?
So Brightburn is essentially what would happen if Superman didn't grow up to be a good person.
Ooh.
So it's all about a kid, Brandon Byers, who is found by Tori and Carl Byers. He's sort of Earth parents.
Oh, I've seen a trailer for this film, yeah.
Yeah, they raise him. He's like a good kid. And then on the day of his 12th birthday, he just clicks and turns into, I'm going to say it, a bit of an insufferable arsehole.
So he hits puberty and he becomes a knob.
Yeah, we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
Some more than others. But where Superman turns into like a good person and he's nurtured and raised to become like a proper serving member of society, Brandon turns into a homicidal maniac who takes everything out on the town and essentially destroys the whole place. And I think beneath the whole thing, there is like a nature versus nurture thing where, you know, does nature overtake nurture at a certain point and vice versa?
I've just seen his mask.
His mask is also dreadful.
No.
It is also dreadful.
It's a bag on his head with shoelaces and 2 eye holes.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not a good look.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a balaclava with laces.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Hessian sack.
It's like his grandmother knit it for him
Yeah.
with shoelaces.
Yeah, but she couldn't figure out how to let him breathe, so that's what the shoelaces are for.
What?
To let the air in.
And he wears a cape.
He does wear a cape, yeah.
Wow, this guy.
But so it was written by the Gunn brothers.
Oh, okay.
Well, 2 of them, and produced by James Gunn.
Wait, how many brothers does he have?
Do you know what? I think he's got like 40.
And they all work movie business?
He's got at least 3 others, I think.
James Gunn, Brian Gunn, Mark Gunn.
Sean Gunn.
Oh my god.
BB.
Okay.
Hey, BB Gunn. Oh, very clever.
Yep.
Genuinely caught me out there.
But
Sean Gunn's an American actor. They all work in the movie business.
Yeah, Sean Gunn is the mocap for...
Guardians of the Galaxy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god, they're all in the movie. That's weird.
Why is it when you Google how many brothers does James Gunn have, the actual answer says at least 3?
For now.
Like, at least 3. That doesn't tell me, Google. Disappointed.
There may be a missing gun somewhere.
Maybe there's one in like a cupboard somewhere.
He's hiding in the closet from Leslie.
Yeah.
So he becomes evil. This kid becomes evil, basically.
Yeah, so he's never told by his parents, played by Elizabeth Banks and David Denman, where he's from originally. So he sort of grows up thinking he's a normal person, but as he gets older and he hits puberty, he starts being able to like bend metal and shoot lasers out of his eyes. And he has these nightmares and terrors and starts sleepwalking towards an old barn where his ship is, the one that he landed in.
Why do they always keep it in a barn?
I don't know. I mean,
E.T., isn't it?
yeah.
Was it E.T.? Oh, I can't remember.
So he feels betrayed by them, like as you would. But it's all about his development and how other things start to overtake him. And the reason he has nightmares and stuff is because this ship is talking to him in his native language, which he doesn't understand. And it's trying to sort of brainwash him into doing what it wants. But from the outset, it's quite clear where it's going to go, because one of the first scenes you see is him in a science class talking about wasps, and specifically kleptoparasite wasps. They are wasps that lay eggs into other species, which then develop within that sort of other species nest.
So they will mutate, in a way.
No.
He's like the egg that they've laid to...
Exactly that, yeah. He's the egg that stays in this family genus until it is old enough and well developed enough to take over, much like the wasps do.
What universe is this set in? Is this the MCU universe or the DC universe?
Neither. Technically, it's in a separate James Gunn universe, as there are calling signs to the film Super.
Okay, cool.
I'm not going to give the rest of it away, because there are some nice like tropes in it. But there is some very graphic scenes in it. Some involving glass in eye and just ripping out eyeballs and shit.
I'm into it.
But the core concept, I mean, is genuinely fascinating. I mean, because there's always been conversations about what would happen if Superman landed in other places. And like, there's, I think, Red Dawn, he lands in Russia and becomes like part of a propaganda machine and stuff. And this is just another take on that. So it's like a natural progressor to that sort of comic book style, but just really fucking dark.
Is it 18s, I guess?
I honestly don't know.
Oh.
I haven't checked.
Because that'd be weird to see an 18 rated superhero kind of film.
It's a 15,
Ah, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
which I think is rated R in the US.
Yep. Okay.
Is it? Is an R rating a 15?
Yeah, 18 is an X, I think.
Oh, did not know that.
I didn't know there was an X.
I think so.
I don't think they get a lot of X's anymore.
They don't, no.
Joker? Well, okay. I know it's not a superhero film, but like that was 18, right?
It was rated R, wasn't it?
Yeah. Definitely was 18 to me, because Jesus Christ, that film. Right. Couldn't sleep for fucking days after that.
It's a 15, Jacob.
Oh,
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
poor Dan.
No, I'm surprised that like it's graphic as hell. Like,
Yeah, but doesn't it need like tits and swearing, and doesn't
Yeah.
it need a bunch of things in it to make it an 18?
Yeah, it needs like gratuitous nudity and stuff.
if I saw Joker when I was 15, it fucking scarred me for life.
Yeah, but kids nowadays are made of tougher stuff, probably.
Yeah, they're not pussies, Dan.
Don't praise them.
TikTok's a scary place.
TikTok. I really liked Brightburn. I think it was an original concept that was told really nicely. And I think, you know, if it does sort of delve into a larger universe, a bit like the shitty Glass universe.
Oh, don't, man. That broke my heart. I really loved that.
And I liked Split. Split was great.
It was amazing. Yeah.
James McAvoy was incredible, but the rest of it was poop.
Yeah.
If Brightburn turns into something bigger, like a more developed sort of story, I think it would be pretty watchable. I really like it. Pen, I think you would really like it.
Sounds like a bit of me.
And Dan, I don't care about what you... I think you would like it. I just think... I'm just not entirely sure it's up your street.
Thanks, man. Love you too. Oh, okay. Well, I just quickly look at the reviews, and it's like the critics didn't like it, but the people who watched it seem to like it a bit more. It seems like critics give it 57 tomatometer, and then the audience gave it 67. So,
well, I think that's down to the audience and the nerds who was there. I mean, I think the reason I like it is because it is a retelling of Superman without it being categorically Superman, and that's something that the critics, I assume, didn't understand.
Yeah, they said the same thing about Joker, didn't they?
Yeah, it's a pastiche more than anything else.
Yeah.
Wasps and bees, both members of the same insect family, both with 2 pairs of wings, both with stingers. Can anyone tell me any differences between them? Mr. Breyer?
Well, bees are pollinators and wasps are predators.
Good. Anybody else?
And wasps are more aggressive, more dangerous. One species, the Polistes salsifer, is what's called a brood parasite. They've lost the ability to make nests, so they use brute force to make other wasp species raise their young. And they make them feed their babies things like beetle larvae and maggots.
So last week I did a quiz, and then don't worry, I'm not doing another quiz about Nicolas Cage's gross movie income. But I decided to look at a film because I guess that's what we do. And I didn't have a lot of time, so I kind of went down memory lane of things I know that are things I definitely wanted to talk about on this podcast before we even started doing it. Has anyone seen the film Fateful Findings?
Nope.
No.
Oh, yes. Thank God. So, Fateful Findings. The one thing I will say is the guy who's made Fateful Findings is called Neil Breen. Neil Breen is 61 years old, okay? What's more interesting about not just the film itself is this guy. I genuinely think this is the next, or should be the next, Tommy Wiseau. This guy is unfucking believable with what he does with films. I am not kidding. So he's a independent filmmaker, architect, and real estate agent. What ended up happening was he was a real estate agent, and then he got some money from doing that. Then he funded his own independent films.
Love that.
He's released a grand total of 5 films in the last 15 years. He is planning a sequel to his recent movie called Twisted Pair, and Twisted Pair 2 is to be announced, and I can't wait for that because I'm a big fan of his. But I would like to talk about one of his films, which is probably the most notable for people who know Neil Breen. It's called Fateful Findings. It was his 3rd film, and he made it in 2012. I may throw up some visual aids on the Zoom call, just so I can point out different scenes. So you guys, if you wanted, I'll keep the volume off, obviously, so you guys on the Zoom can see what I see. I'll also play some audio clips. Enjoy. So
This is like a PowerPoint presentation. I'm excited.
it's a little bit. So let's talk about Fateful Findings. So Fateful Findings was made on a budget, I think, about 50,000, I think. Or actually, no, it's probably about 100,000. It doesn't look it. From first, there's stock footage everywhere in this fucking film. The film is plagued with stock footage that I found easily on the internet. Every single shot you're seeing right now is stock footage. It's not actual film footage. He's used stock footage all over the place. Neil Breen is the writer, director, main lead star, screenplay, and stunt artist.
He's not fucking around, is he?
Jack of all trades.
He is 61 years old. The opening scene to this film is about 2 kids finding a cube in a forest, and then somehow just... Why is it Spanish subtitles on? Somehow... They find a magic cube in a bag in a forest, and then some weird shit happens. And one thing I would also point out is that Neil Breen's films are all to do with supernatural stuff. Most of the time, he is the alpha male because, of course, he is, as you'll see, or as I'll explain later on, why he's the alpha male in all of his films. They find a cube in the forest in this jewel box, these 2 little kids, and they're like, what should we do with it? Blah, 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 blah. We'll bury it, and then we'll bury it, and we'll say goodbye to each other. And then Neil Breen, 30 years later, comes out of work, and he's walking down the street, and this girl hits him, and he's dead.
Hits him with her car, I'm guessing.
She hits him with his car, and Neil Breen is now in hospital. The poor man, the 50-year-old man, gets hit by a car. It wasn't really his fault, but as I said, 30 years later, we just cut to that. What ends up happening here is that Neil Breen goes to hospital, And Neil Breen has a face mask on his hospital. He also has an oxygen. He has an air mask on top of his bandage while he's in hospital. There is a bandage on his head, so covering his whole face.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's air going onto the bandage, simulating that he's getting some, oxygen into his lungs. But he can't because the bandage is in front of his face, covering his mouth.
Yeah.
101 in movie making, 101 in just general fucking common sense. There you go.
So that means that guy is not a real doctor, because otherwise he'd point that out.
They would, and they're just staring at a man who's not really getting enough oxygen. Anyway, Neil leaves the scene naked. He basically wakes up, takes the oxygen mask off, and leaves the hospital. By the way, he has a wife. And what Neil decides to do is leave hospital, walk into his own house, and wake up his wife by having a shower.
Oh.
The problem with the shower is that he's bleeding profusely. He's breathing a lot from the head, and to the point where there's blood all over the kitchen floor and the bathroom floor, and the wife just follows his blood trail and finds Neil in the bathtub bleeding.
Why is she getting in the shower? Why?
She's getting in the shower because Neil's back from the hospital, of course. So she goes to comfort Neil, and they have a nice embracing moment in the shower.
No, this is going too fast.
He's still got the mask on.
So currently, he's naked in the shower with his bleeding
Mask.
bandage still on. She's in a white nightie, which is going see-through, and they're having a little dance in the shower.
While he's bleeding from his head still.
And you almost see his genitals.
They are also both bone dry.
Oh, yeah, they are. The water stopped.
No, they're absolutely covered in blood, both of them as well.
Oh, no, you're right. There's a bit of it.
They just had a dance.
And then they just chill out on the bed and relax, and she's happy Neil is back from hospital. That is the opening to this film.
That's a lot to take in.
Thoughts?
My first thought is I looked at him on Wikipedia, and his picture has his eyes shut.
Yeah, that is correct. He's the only person I've seen on Wikipedia where his photo is actually really shit.
Yeah.
That just gives you some indication of Neil Breen. So Neil Breen has a problem after this accident of his 30 years later. He gets constant headaches.
Oh, I thought he was falling asleep.
He's always dropping shit all over the place, like his laptops, his fucking books. He's always just knocking over everything because he's a clumsy old git. He's got a bandage on the back of his head. And he's trying to live a normal life, but he keeps getting these headaches. Oh, headaches. And he knocks over a laptop and shit like that. So I want to point out one thing that's very noticeable, especially about his office. Neil owns 5 laptops.
Yeah, he just knocked 2 on the floor.
That was going to be my question. When was this made? It says 2013, but those laptops are at least 10 years old.
There may be a reason for that, as you'll see in a minute, as I'll explain.
I like that he has 2 on his desk and neither of them are on. But they're open.
Yeah.
Yes, none of the laptops are on at all times, but he always needs 5 or 6 in the vicinity of him at all.
Now he's in a bin bag.
He's in a bin bag. That is life.
He's naked in a bin
He's
bag.
naked again. He's naked.
He really wanted to have a lot of naked shots in this. He has pretty much all the naked shots in this film, as he is the lead actor, of course, Neil Breen. I don't know his actual name in the film. I just know his real name is Neil Breen. I call him Neil Breen. I have no idea what his name in the film is. I've seen this movie 6 times, and I still don't know his name.
Times.
Yes.
Genuinely wouldn't be surprised if it was Neil Breen.
It might be Neil Breen playing himself. He has this cube, which is the cube he found in the forest, and he keeps playing with it in some sort of weird, it's kind of like talking to him in a weird way. But he also has more headaches, and especially when he drinks coffee, he has really bad headaches where he's constantly shaking his coffee right above his laptop. Then he faints in one scene, and he has a flashback to his car accident, and then he just pushes the coffee over his face onto the laptop, all over his desk, in the most laziest way possible I have ever seen, where he's covered in coffee on his injured face, by the way, and he's just constantly having these headaches where he's fainting and he's dropping all sorts of shit and coffee's going everywhere and all.
But he's constantly moving, so he's not passing out.
Yeah. the whole time as well, he's making sounds the whole time in this film. Every time he has those headaches, all you hear is the whole time.
No wonder the laptops aren't on.
Yeah, it's probably why he's got 5 laptops, because he breaks them every time he has a beverage.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like he probably is using like all these old laptops and stuff, but because the amount of takes they had to do for this magnificent film is probably quite catastrophic. I can't even speak English today. Jesus fucking Christ. Right, so fuck's sake, this next bit. Neil has a sex scene.
Oh.
It's not what he doesn't actually have sex in this film. So he's paid all these really like attractive women in this like film. Like all of them are really attractive. And Neil gets with every single one of them, of course, because he's the writer, director, producer, you know, the whole thing. Tommy Wiseau, you know. He has a sex scene. And I'm not going to show you the video. I'm just going to play you the audio from it and see if you can make your minds up of what the hell is going on here. Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm done talking.
Really?
Any ideas, guys?
Is he dropping all the laptops on the floor?
Yes, he's
Fucking nailed it. I've dropped enough laptops in my time to know what happens.
I assume he's like sweeping them off a table.
He's lightly banging against them, like he's lightly slapping them down in a way, and then he just grabs some papers and throws them in the air like it's a celebration.
Does he rip her clothes?
There's a bit where they rip their clothes, but they're just... It's like a really shitty tear. Yeah. It's like the worst love scene I've ever seen. There's no connection at all. He doesn't actually have sex. All you see is him removing shit from the table, and you assume Neil has had sex. But I can't, you know.
So next time someone comes in and I'm moving things off my desk, do I have to be embarrassed? Like, it's not what it looks like.
Yes.
Okay.
I think Neil knew his audience, and they understood what they were trying to do there. So... He obviously loves his wife very much. That's why he goes to...
That's who he's having sex with, I assume.
Who?
His wife.
Yeah, the one in the shower.
Oh, good.
His wife. They're a very happy couple together. So at a party, a girl comes up to him. They're having like a nice pool party out the back and stuff. And
well, that pool needs cleaning.
The pool needs really fucking...
Nice garden, though. Yeah.
What ends up happening is another girl ends up at this party, and she kind of introduces herself to everyone. She gets to Neil. Neil just says, and I wish I got the audio for it, but Neil just goes up to her and says, "It's you. It's really you. It's you. I'm not kidding. That's his exact fucking delivery and lines.
Is it her?
It's the girl from the start of the film when they're getting this treasure out of the ground. It's that girl.
Oh, so Neil was the kid at the beginning.
There's the boy, and then there's a girl with him, and reunited with her.
They buried the cube, but then he went back and got it, and then he got hit by a car.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, I kind of couldn't work out when he got the cube.
There was a lot in the beginning.
I assumed...
Yeah, trust me, it won't make sense. If you try to decode it, this whole film does not make sense. You can try if you want. So what ends up happening is he meets this girl, and a bunch of girls fall in love with him at this party. There's like an 18-year-old girl who's by the pool when everyone leaves this party, and she just takes her bra off, and she kind of like turns around and looks at Neil, and it's like, you know, come and get it kind of thing.
Oh.
And Neil is just standing there staring out the window like some weird pervert.
Oof.
But all the girls love Neil.
His name's Dylan.
Christ, that for some reason makes it worse.
Oh, Dylan.
That his name is Dylan.
Yeah, the subtitles are still on.
The fact that his name is Dylan makes me more uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's too old to be a Dylan. I know Dylans get old, but it's creepy. She doesn't even go swimming.
No.
She stands in the pool, she takes her bra off, looks at him, and then gets out of the pool.
So Neil has to go back to work. He's very busy.
He's got no time to look at boobs.
Yeah, she runs a bath. He goes in and says, "You shouldn't be doing this." And they hug it out, and they're like, yeah.
She's running a bath in someone else's house.
Yeah, his house.
That's some big dick energy right there.
So anyways, all that happens, and Neil makes amends with all the women, and he's a guardian angel to a lot of them. What you can see is Neil looking at the young lady going into the bathtub and making a weird fucking face, the weirdest face of all. So what ends up happening is that one of Neil's friends, I think his name is Jim, I can't remember, but one of Neil's friends gets killed by his wife in the garage. Just before Neil is about to head into the garage, the wife shoots her husband.
Oh, she was mad at him about the Ferrari, wasn't she?
I have still no idea why she was mad at him. It really doesn't make any sense, this film. I really don't know why she was mad.
Her eyes are too close together.
He's not bleeding. Oh, wait. So he wasn't bleeding a second ago, and now he's bleeding out of his ear.
Yeah.
Continuity.
Even though she shot him and he's bleeding out of his ear.
Yeah, the blood comes now out of the neck.
Oh, yeah, it's the neck. But still, he wasn't bleeding a minute ago, and she shot him straight on, not sideways. Yeah. None of these people have ever watched CSI. This is all incorrect.
Gil Grissom would be furious.
He would be. You can see the pump working to pump the blood out to his neck. I love it. Greg Nicotero would be furious.
So Neil finds the body of his good friend Jim, and he goes to try see what happened to him. This is the audio that gets played, and I promise you this is 100% real of what Neil says to his now dead friend Jim in the garage.
Jim! Call 911! Jim! How could you have done this? Jim! I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe you committed suicide. How could you have done this? How could you have committed suicide?
In the neck.
I can't help you out of this one. With all we've been through,
you fucked it, Jim.
I can't pull you out of this one.
Why does he keep rubbing blood on his face?
For people listening. So that happened, but during that, there's blood on Neil's arms because he's trying to lift up the body and stuff. And he just wipes it on his face, the blood, like it's like a normal thing. And just, it's the worst.
He's an advert for Corona.
Yeah,
like
literally.
It's all over his face.
And then the delivery of, wake up. I can't believe you committed suicide.
I can't help you out of this one, buddy. You're on your own. Wow.
I don't know if I'd be able to watch this.
No.
Because I would have lost my shit by now and just turned it off.
Yeah.
I think I'd need a group of people and some gin. Then I could maybe get through it.
Don't talk to me about gin.
No.
So anyway, Neil's wife kills herself.
Wait, what?
Jesus. I mean, that came out of nowhere.
Why? Is she sad about Jim?
She overdoses on, look at that fall of glass as well.
Oh,
She overdoses on pills because she sees that Neil is hanging around with his school child friend who he met at the start of the film. Now he's kissing her and doing this really creepy kissing scene next to the fucking woods. And it's not
She
right.
does not look comfortable either.
No.
And so his wife kills herself. I wish I had the audio for when he discovers his wife. But it's in a similar vein of like, he doesn't even say, I can't believe you're gone or anything. He just kind of goes up and goes, well, this is it then. Yeah, he's just like, oh, this is my life now.
Oh, his nipple's out right now. I don't like it.
Yeah, can you pause the footage here for a second, Dan?
No, can you not pause it? I don't.
He looks a bit like the Michael Myers mask.
Yes, he does.
But all over his body.
Oh my God.
Oh, who was the Michael Myers mask based off of?
James T. Kirk.
Yes, I should know that.
William Shatner.
Yeah, it was a Shatner mask, wasn't it? Sprayed. Yeah. So he looks like William Shatner, sprayed white to look like Michael Myers, sprayed flesh colour again to look like himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a niche description, but it's pretty accurate.
So, you may be asking, what's the point of this film?
Yes.
At this point, as we're an hour and 30 in, more stock footage.
Of the cameras.
Neil is now behind a green screen at about 1 hour 30 in. It's a clear green screen, by the way.
He's too big for that building. Like, that's...
Yes. Look at the blur on his up. I mean...
He's a giant compared to that building.
He's behind the green screen and he's basically given a press conference. I don't how he got access to all the press. I have no idea. He just basically starts giving a press conference one day.
To cameras that haven't got people behind them. In that stock footage, there's no one behind the cameras.
Yeah, you'll see in a minute, like, it gets worse. It's just, I look, people.
In front of the same building that he's in front of.
Yep, and he's there again at the same angle. So,
on a plus side, look at that diversity.
Oh my god, the green screen is too much.
Why couldn't he get a different stock photo just to put behind them?
The genius of Neil Breen. He's made 5 of these.
Who's this guy? And now he's in front of the building.
Right. I need to pause it here because it'll give away something. So, why Neil has called this press conference is he says, and my exact quote is, he's found secrets about the government, and apparently he's found secrets through the cube. And his research, apparently everyone thought he was writing a book with all the laptops and stuff. Apparently he was like hacking into like the government website the whole time, knocking the laptops over at the process and stuff.
They weren't even on.
And now he knows about the government secrets and he's about to expose them. So all of these people from the council or something end up like lining up saying, yes, we've done wrong after Neil gives his press conference. We've done wrong. We truly are terrible people. We are the worst of the worst, blah, 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 blah.
They just happen to be there, ready to line up.
Yeah, ready for Neil to line up and stuff.
Why didn't the government shoot him and make it look like suicide?
Well, look, Neil was undercover during the whole film, obviously, and this was his life's work, from the very start, So anyway, every single council member decides to shoot themselves live on television because they feel so shameful for what they've done. They're going to put a gun to their heads while everyone's watching during this press conference. One by one, they each take a pop shot at each other with one single bullet, and they all die, and the camera cuts before anything could happen.
I mean, one of them would be believable, but all of them?
Yeah, there's about 6 of them. They all just kill themselves live on television after Neil explodes.
All in front of the same building?
All in front of the same building, and Neil's just there laughing as they die and kill themselves. One guy hangs himself.
He wasn't at the press conference. He's at home.
He's at home. He's so shameful for what he's done.
Neil's so happy about it.
The whole time this is going on, Neil has not revealed any of these secrets. He just said, all he says in this is, I have secrets about the government. And then the other guys go, whoa, okay, we fucking own it. And they all kill each other. And then finally, the ending to this film, which there's 2 things. I'll just quickly go. A hitman tries to take out Neil during his press conference. It's a bit late because everyone's killed themselves. The world's shittest hitman. On top of a bitch behind the green screen, which is the same picture that Neil is standing behind.
Oh my
God. With a crosshair that looks like something out of old Call of Duty games. Tries to kill him, and then the hitman gets killed because, he dies.
No, I don't know. How does he just die?
I don't know how he dies. He just dies.
He just drops down dead and is bleeding from his head.
And then he's reunited with the girl that he fell in love with in his childhood, and then it becomes full circle as the boy and girl are running through the field like in the old days, and now Neil and the girl are running through in modern days. Neil Breen, the greatest movie inventor of all time.
Okay. I've got one main question.
I don't think I meant that clap. Why is there a ghost?
I don't know.
I've got one main question here. What the fuck is the cube? There's no reference to the cube.
That's where he got the secrets.
Yeah, but what does the cube do?
Told him the secrets.
It's just a fucking dice. What's he doing? Rolling it around, expecting the answers?
He found a magical cube in the forest, and that's apparently able to telepathically tell him stuff.
What, so he holds this cube? It's not even a proper cube either, by the way.
No, it's like a D6.
Yeah, it's a D6. Didn't he find it in a dice bag as well?
Yeah, he did, yeah. So he holds this cube, it teleports him inside a bin bag, and then all of a sudden he knows all the secrets but doesn't have to tell anyone.
Yeah.
He just has to say, I know your secret, and you'll kill yourself.
Yeah, and then everyone kills themselves who's involved in the government. All 6 people, by the way, standing outside the same building as him.
Okay, well, that's cleared that up. I'm happy with it now. Perfect. Makes a lot of sense.
That sounds like one of my weird dreams, but worse. It makes less sense than my weird dreams.
I tell you what, every single one of his films are just like that, and they are just absolutely priceless. So I would recommend anyone watch a Neil Breen film. He's one of the greatest of all time. Should be the new Tommy Wiseau, definitely.
I couldn't watch it.
I think I want to go to Amsterdam and watch one, put it that way. In a coffee shop with a hot chocolate is what I mean, everyone.
Pretty much. I think that's how Neil came up with his fucking idea for this film anyway. Like, he's always having headaches, knocking his laptops over. That's, yeah.
I also want to know, he must be a pretty good real estate agent if he's made money to make 5 films. Not that they were a huge budget, but he's made enough money to make 5 shitty films. That's quite impressive.
He has a cult following that give him money. Yeah. They're terrible films.
Oh, don't encourage him. Is one of them you, Dan?
So we do movies out of the hat.
Hang on a second. I'm looking at his...
I'm a Patreon.
I'm looking at his other films. Can't believe he didn't talk about Double Down, where he plays a rogue government super agent.
I will bring back Neil on future episodes, but I just thought I'd tease him with one of my favorites. But yeah, he has many hits, and he's still making films today at age 61. God bless Neil. God bless him.
God bless Neil.
I'm not clapping, I'll be honest.
I resigned today as president of the bank. We were all under pressure to operate in a deceiving way and cheat the customer. Goodbye.
So to end the podcast, we are going to do our films out of a hat. Last week we pulled a film out, which is, people don't know, I didn't listen, whatever. We have a bunch of films we put into a virtual hat, and then we pull one out at the end of every episode and then talk about it at the end of the next one coming up. Last week, this was Penny's choice. Mm-hmm. We have all watched the movie Hatchet.
Yeah.
Who would like to go first? Who would like to talk about the opening?
Well, shall I? As it was my choice.
Yeah.
And I liked it. So Hatchet is a legend monster gore movie, is what I kind of decided. Are we good with that? Does that make sense?
I think that's a fair analysis.
Yeah.
That's the word I wanted. And it's about the legend of Victor Crowley, who was a weird looking guy. Just no reference to that. He's just a deformed man who lives in the swamps. And obviously he was bullied because kids are shits. And then on Halloween night, the kids are trying to scare him out of his house, and they throw firecrackers at his house. But because he lives in the swamp, his house is made of kindling, basically. And they set his house on fire by accident, which is obviously horrible. Don't do that. And he can't get out. And his dad, played by Kane Hodder, who plays Jason in Friday the 13th, one of them anyway, tries to save him. He's trying to get in the door. The door's on fire. So he grabs a hatchet, starts hacking down the door. Unfortunately, poor Victor is pushed up against the door trying to get out, and his dad accidentally hatchets him in the face and kills him. And now the ghost of Victor Crowley haunts the swamp of New Orleans.
Indeed he does. This opening is the worst opening I've ever seen. You got Marilyn Manson singing the title track. And it immediately tells you what kind of film this is. You got kind of the scary, like, hillbillies in the swamp. And then it suddenly goes to like heavy rock Marilyn Manson with like these weird title sequences where I immediately went, oh, I know what kind of film I'm in for now.
Not any hillbillies. One was Robert Englund, who is Freddy Krueger, who's in everything.
And one of them is the brother of one of the people in the main...
Spoilers. You got to go through this in order.
Yep.
Here's what I took from the opening. One guy can't piss, so he complains to his dad that he can't piss. He eventually starts pissing overboard, and he ends up pissing in an alligator's mouth.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Then he goes to shore, takes a piss, finishes his piss, and his dad is dead. The whole first 10 minutes is about this guy trying to piss.
Marilyn Manson.
I feel like I need to mention the first note that I wrote when rewatching this, and it just says 2006 questionable. So there will be some questionable parts of this movie, such as pissing and boobs and things coming up. So there's a warning for anyone that's...
Mm-hmm. My first note on top of the opening titles thing is main guy reminds me, and I couldn't get this off my head throughout the whole film, he reminds me of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, the main dude. Like, Shaggy Scooby-Doo, literally.
Yeah. Or he was in Bones, if anybody watched Bones. So there you go.
He was also in a dreadful film called Grandma's Boy. I highly recommend it.
Grandma's Boy?
He was an elite game developer.
What the fuck's that?
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, yeah, the opening, so we get past the titles and stuff. it immediately hits like this is like all I can think of is like the start and the end is like a horror film, and then the middle bit of this film is like American Pie meets Dora the Explorer, is what I thought it was like.
Dora the Explorer is not that gory.
Later on, they go exploring. So.
Fair.
Yeah, there's a lot of boobs at the start, a lot of crying. That's a running theme in this film, is crying.
If Victor Crowley was chasing you, you would probably cry. He is a giant, scary dude.
They're crying on the bus when they get on the bus to go to, they're basically going to head to the swamp tour, or whatever it's called. They're crying on the bus, they're crying when they get there, they're crying. Like, it's constantly like, I get it, but it'd be realistic.
Nothing in this film is realistic. Not even the boobs.
By the way, the director of this film made Frozen.
Adam Green?
Co-wrote Frozen.
Wow.
Did he really?
And then he went to make Hatchet 2 and 3 after Frozen.
And 4.
And 4, there you go. So no wonder it's got a Dora the Explorer kind of feel to it. Like, I'm just saying.
Oh, not Frozen the cartoon.
Oh, is it the cartoon? The movie?
No. It's Frozen. It's a horror movie called Frozen.
Oh, I just saw the title Frozen. Oh, okay.
It looks like a scary ski movie.
Okay, that's next one.
I want to point out, though, looking at this, Hatchet came out in 2006, and the latest installment, Hatchet 4, came out 2017. So it's been going for a while.
Big franchise, right?
Yeah.
So what did everyone make of the two main characters, I guess? Just the stereotypical teenage 20-year-olds that are like, oh, we got to find some girls.
I love this movie. Just how ridiculous and stupid it is.
I'm waiting for Andy to go. I'm just setting it.
I'll step up here, shall I? I thought the dynamic between the two of them was weird.
I did too, a little bit.
Like
the guy and the girl.
Oh no, I'm still like early doors.
Oh, sorry, the guy and the Marcus and Ben.
Marcus and Ben, yeah. Ben is bored with Mardi Gras, which I can understand. He's also annoyed that their hotel room smells like sweaty balls. Again, can understand that. But I don't understand why you would want to go and find a haunted swamp tour.
I mean, that's the kind of weird thing I would do. When I was in LA on my own, I went to the Museum of Death, and it was awesome.
In fairness, I would also go to the Museum of Death. So there's 6 of them.
One of them is Adam Green, by the way. Like his friends. One of them is Adam Green.
Was that the one who was shit-faced and threw up 6 times?
No, that was the only one that spoke, I believe.
Should we go through each of the characters? Because there's a couple that So you got the two main guys, we talked about them. Then there's a guy filming the porno with these 2 girls. Is it porno?
Yeah, it's like...
Are You Beavers?
Yeah, but it's like...
Girls Gone Wild.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
I mean, I don't know these things.
But why was he filming on the swamp tour?
I think, wasn't Girls Go Wild was a bit like he would just shoot drunk girls and get them to just lift their tops up and go, woo! And that was the whole thing.
I think that's what Girls Gone Wild is. It's normally done on spring break, and I think it's normally like Cali, like beach areas. It sounds like I know what I'm talking about. I genuinely don't know anything about this.
It's something like that. But obviously he needed to take them to the swamp to get...
It's just a different USP, isn't it?
The goths interested.
He's trying to sell it to the goth market.
Yep. I'm going with it.
So, got him, and then these 2 girls just lifting their tops off half the time.
Don't know their names. Blondie and brunette.
Yeah, blondie, brunette.
One of them's got syphilis.
They hate each other, but they have to kiss each other and get their boobs out for the film.
Yeah.
Who's the other? Oh, we got the guy who looks like a walrus, and his wife, the 2 old people.
Yeah. I want to say Andy Reid.
Yeah, I was thinking Andy Reid.
But that will only work for Dan and I.
No one got that.
And then you've got Mary Beth, who is the quiet loner on the tour. And then the questionable accented tour guide.
Sean was his name.
Sean,
originally from Detroit.
With the southern-ish accent.
Yeah.
He does a New Orleans Cajun accent, and then he becomes kind of Chinese and slightly racist, and then he just has a normal American accent throughout the film.
The Chinese comes out now and again when he gets angry, like a little bit, and then you're like, okay, cool. And yeah, it's
unnecessary.
Yeah, it's a bit... Yeah, and there's the guy who drinks his own piss, which was another one. Remember the guy before they got...
telling them not to go in the swamp.
Yeah, before they get on the swamp tour boat.
Yeah, Jack Crackers he's called. Mad Gator Hunter drinks his own piss. He's Crackers, and then he drinks his own piss.
I nearly physically threw up when he drank his piss. I was just like, I wasn't expecting it. I was just like, oh, fuck.
There is another horror legend in this apart from Robert Englund, and that is Tony Todd, who plays Rev Zombie. Tony Todd is the guy from Final Destination, Candyman.
Oh.
He was in The Crow.
Okay.
More spoilers, he is more prevalent in Hatchet 2, if anyone's interested.
I mean, I wasn't, but we'll get to that.
I think you will be.
I'm going to have to be. But what I liked about it, so they go to Rev Zombie Early Doors to organise a tour, a haunted swamp tour thing, and he says he doesn't do it at night, and I thought that was quite interesting. But then he only doesn't do it because he got sued by some prick who fell out of a boat.
Yep.
Which is a legitimate reason not to do it, but also he must know the rumours of old Vicky Crowley, Vicky C.
And later on, Mary Beth does point out that the swamp has been closed for 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And it's illegal to go there. But apparently that's not the reason why a Candyman doesn't go there.
Why were they so adamant to get them there? I completely forgot.
Mad dollar, innit?
Is that it? Just money?
Cha-ching. Yeah.
He was literally like the only swamp tour. So he was like, yeah, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Well, it was also an illegitimate tour.
Yeah.
But Tony Todd looked like a flamboyant vampire. He had a purple cape on and a top hat. But he also had voodoo makeup.
Yeah. One eye.
Yeah.
It's New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been there.
Oh, I guess you do get vampires in New Orleans as well. But I was just thinking, why would you combine the two? It's weird.
Money.
Weird.
I've made a note that says more than halfway before anything happens into this film, an actual like thing going on. Like the first 45 minutes, I think, it's just them on the boat. And then occasionally like the alligator thing where they are attempting to get off the boat because it's sinking. But Hatchet Man doesn't turn up until 50 minutes in. So I thought it was the alligators that were going to chop them with hatchets. So I thought the alligators were the fucking main villain. So I was like, oh, it's an alligator film. And
that I would watch. Alligators with hatchets.
Weirdly, I agree with you.
Oh.
I was watching it thinking, is this Lake Placid? But then all of a sudden, he just turns up out of nowhere. Yeah. Normally you get a tease, but you didn't get it.
No. They go towards his house.
Yeah,
the old man gets his leg bitten by an alligator. They get onto shore. They're trying to get to a road or something. And then she's like, oh, shit, that's Victor Crowley's house. Don't go near it. The old man and the old lady go near it. Victor comes out.
We're missing some points I want to talk about, and I'll come back to. But normally you get a build-up before you see the villain in these sort of shit slasher films. Except he just turns up. I know that they're outside his house, but also you don't see any curtains move. You don't see half a door open. They turn around and he's just there staring them in the face. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's because he's done his cardio. Have you learned nothing from Leslie? He's done his cardio.
Yeah, that's true.
He was getting his 5 a day.
What was I thinking? We're a bit all over on the plot here, but here are some things that I had written down early doors. You can't hook up with itchy chicks. Everyone knows that.
Oh my God, that whole thing. Yeah.
Which is later referenced back on the boat when Marcus is trying to chat up the brunette and she starts itching her crotch.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they have a long conversation about sex and crabs on the way to see Candyman.
Yeah. When they finally get on the tour bus, Ben has to sit next to Mary Beth. And it's obvious that there's not going to be anything going on because he says, great name. It's 2 names. Ben, so boring. Only 1 name. And then he says, that's a nice coat.
He's just awkward trying to chat up a lady. I'm sure it happens.
Gosh, Scoop.
It was, yeah. Then as soon as the tour starts, and I don't know if I was the only one who noticed this, there was the change in score.
Yeah.
Turned into a 60s road trip.
It was so weird. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. It was like I had just turned off the volume and started listening to fucking A Few Dollars More.
Yeah.
It was like a proper weird old Western.
That's why I say, in the middle of this film, it's the weirdness. The ending and the start of it is completely different from all the bits in the middle with the boat and everything.
Yeah.
I've clearly watched it too many times to notice these things.
It got me.
I got the impression that they got on the bus sort of midday-ish because it was still proper light. I don't know why I thought it was that time.
Why were you concerned about the time?
Because by the time they get to the swamps, it's pitch black.
It must have taken them a while to get there.
Yeah.
So it must have taken them fucking 8 days.
Or a couple of hours.
Where is this swamp? Mississippi. Where are they driving to? They've driven outside of New Orleans now. They're in fucking Michigan.
I think you're expected to suspend your disbelief about the geography. You can't really see ghosts because they're going on a ghost tour for the swamp, aren't they? It's a haunted swamp, so you got to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't see them.
I'll tell you what else annoyed me is that at one point Sean is like, "Look out the window. There's a cemetery," and you look out the window and it's just pitch black. And you can't really see anything.
It's great lighting.
I'm genuinely starting to get annoyed about this now.
Yep, keep going.
And I know I'm going to get more annoyed as we go on.
Come on, Angry Joyce.
So let's just crack on. Let's go for it.
Well, one thing I did like is the actual gore. I think it was done beautifully.
Yes.
Yeah. Was it all practical effects, Pen?
Yes.
Because it looked like it. It looked legit.
Basically, all my notes for this are my favourite practical effects. So as far as I know, they were all practical. The old man getting his arm chopped off, you could see it was practical because it was kind of crap.
The heads being ripped apart.
Yeah, arms being ripped off, people being ripped in half, lots of blood, lots of tendons and things. I especially liked, spoilers, but when the old lady, he rips her
mouth,
puts his fingers in her mouth and rips her head open, and there's a nice little fountain, twists the porn guy's head completely round.
I actually thought the transition to the heads pulling was really clever. The way that they had like the actual shot and the camera pans around him.
Yeah.
And then suddenly she's there again.
And possibly my favourite death in anything ever was the brunette getting her jaw sanded off. I assume it was a battery-powered...
Fisher Price, isn't it?
Like a floor sander. But seeing as they're in the middle of the swamp, I don't know how it was plugged in, but I'm all for it.
Oh, yeah.
This was my question as well. How the fuck is he charging that?
Extension lead all the way from his house.
And he sanded her jaw off and then impaled her on a spade. But I've also written, special mention, throwing Blondie's head at Ben.
Yes. Oh, that's fantastic.
And he's in the shed looking for some petrol to try and set Victor on fire. Something gets thrown at him. He's like, ah! Turns around and it's the blonde girl's head, and then her torso quickly follows.
The way he was throwing that petrol around, he was absolutely covering himself and Mary Beth. And I was fully expecting him to sort of set himself alight. Fire in this film is obviously bullshit because when his house burns down as a kid, it just burns the front door.
Yep.
So he could have gone out the window. But instead he was trying to... I mean...
Oh, he's sorry. Whoa.
I'm taking deep breaths.
And breathe.
I'm taking deep breaths.
My favourite bit or favourite kind of... It's not a killing, but it's a thing that the killer did, was that he drooled in Shaggy's face while he was lying on top of him, like his phlegm just dropped into, and then Shaggy starts puking.
Yeah.
I don't know what the point of that was.
I don't know either.
Just gross gore.
Sexual tension.
And it was like really thick looking.
I did write down Crowley spits in Ben's mouth. Kinky.
There was a lot of it as well. I was expecting a little bit of like phlegm. There was a whole bucket load as well.
And it was definitely phlegmy rather than dribbly.
Yeah.
It was not clear.
Obviously drinks a lot of water.
My favourite part was that whenever Mary Beth points somewhere, Crowley turns up. It happens quite a few times.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, that's his house. And then suddenly he appears. After everyone's run off and it's just the four of them,
who's left?
It's Ben, Mary Beth, Marcus, and the blonde. And they're going, oh, which way do we need to go? Which way should we run? And she goes, that way, points in a direction, and then he just appears out of nowhere again.
She's got magic powers.
Yeah. She points at idiots.
Points at idiots.
I also quite like that Marcus shouted at Crowley that he looks like he's been molested by wolves. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it really got to me. I had to rewind it.
Victor does have a face only a father could love.
Yeah, how would you describe the face?
Marcus calls him an elephant man motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say a bit like, is it Sloth from the Goonies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Sloth from the Goonies and Arseface from Preacher.
Yeah. And he's massive because Kane Hodder is massive.
He's a unit, isn't he?
I have met him in real life. He's lovely. He has the thickest neck I've ever seen. I did actually write that down as well.
Thick neck.
Like his head.
That's a thick neck.
His head and his neck are the same
circumference.
width. Yeah, he's a very sweet man. I enjoyed meeting him. He was nice, but yeah, he's a unit.
I'm kind of skipping ahead because we're just running a little bit out of time, but I would like to say the bit where he dies or he doesn't die is the worst scene in the, I'm sorry, but this is like, I couldn't handle it. That it was the weirdest thing I've seen.
Which death are we talking about? Are we talking about when Crowley gets shot or set on fire or stabbed?
Stabbed. Oh, impaled, sorry.
Oh.
With the stick or whatever it is.
Well, he's an expert javelin thrower.
Yeah, I had that written down, yeah.
He's very good at the javelin.
He runs into the fucking... He just runs into it.
Well, no, he runs... For context, they've run through a cemetery and he grabs one of the bars from the cemetery and he javelins it and it hits Ben in the foot and sticks him to the floor, which is weird because he was running away, so the javelin must have gone over him.
No, he turned around because he was about to walk into the water where there's alligators.
Main villain of this.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's got no fucking sense. So he turned around and then it just came straight vertically down. So he must have thrown it straight in the air and then it just comes straight. I also wrote champion fucking javelin thrower.
Yeah, it was impressive to get him like in... It must have been kind of just past the toes, I think, from when you look at it later. I think it's just kind of past the toes. So it's not a lot of foot that he managed to get it in. So it's impressive.
No, but he's absolutely fucked up that pedicure, isn't he?
But I don't understand how... Like, it's stuck in his foot. And then they decide, oh, he's running at us. Let's push this pole that's stuck in my foot further forward so that it's aimed at him. But he's running towards them as they do this slowly. By the way, it's stuck in his foot. So they're not going to do it very quickly. They're going to push it slowly towards his, I guess, stomach. And he just runs into it. I think
you'll find it also hits him in the shoulder, neck area, which I'm not convinced with how long the pole is and how big Victor is.
Yeah, but anyway, he doesn't die, because of course not. That would be a terrible way to go anyway. If that was it, that's how he went. That would just be... But... Having said that, we get ending, and Andy Joyce, I'm going to throw this over to you. Would you like to explain the ending to this film?
Yeah, okay. So after he's been impaled on this bar, they somehow managed to rip it out of Ben's foot without Crowley sort of moving. I don't know.
That's why I think it's near the toes.
Yeah, because his shoe is buggered, isn't it? It's like totally ripped out.
Yeah, it's like his foot is in half. But like that's why I think it's near the toe bit where he's kind of yanked it out and fucked his foot.
So they find Mary Beth's daddy's boats. They get in it. She starts having a cry. He's thanking her for sticking with him. They start rowing away like it's something out of the fucking Notebook.
And then they stop.
Yeah.
They don't row for very long.
No, they don't row for long because she's having a cry and he's barely able to do anything. And then all of a sudden Crowley just appears out of nowhere like he's Jason Voorhees in the first Friday the 13th film. He grabs her. For some reason, I'm getting so irate, I'm doing the actions that no one can see. He grabs her, throws her out the boat. Her foot gets tangled in like the reeds and she's struggling and stuff. You don't see anything above water level. And then Ben's arm comes down and you think, oh, fantastic, he's well enough to help her. She grabs onto the hand, pulls her out, and it's Crowley using the ripped off arms to lure her into the boat. She then screams in his face and it cuts to black. And then the credits roll. I thought my TV had fucking broken. I was like, that can't be it. There's no payoff. That's all that happens. You spend the whole film getting to this point where they meet, and then it just cuts to black. What is it, the fucking Sopranos?
Well, would you like me to explain?
What, how it cut to black?
Sure. Is that what this podcast is going to do? We're just going to end midway through a sentence?
Yep. So basically, spoilers, Hatchet 2 begins exactly where Hatchet 1 finished, but with one minor difference. Mary Beth is played by a completely different actress.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, so if you watch Hatchet 2, the beginning, it just opens and it's Victor Crowley and Mary Beth fighting in the boat, but Mary Beth is now played by the wonderful Danielle Harris from Urban Legend and one of the Halloween movies. I literally can't remember what happens in 2 because it's been a while since I've seen it. But yeah, technically it carries on the second the first one finishes, if that makes you feel any better, Andy.
No, it doesn't. Because why would you bother? It's made the whole film totally redundant for me because there's no benefit. The thing is, if you saw him raise a hatchet, fine, I would have that. But just them face to face and then fade to black.
Yeah.
It's not even a fade to black, it's a snap. It's a quick click to black.
And then is it Marilyn Manson again?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, on the credits.
Yes. The whole film, I was thinking, I might listen to a bit of Marilyn later. I really enjoy this. And that happened. And I immediately threw one of his albums out the window. I couldn't deal with it. It hasn't helped you telling me that, because now I want to watch the first 10 minutes of the second one. I'll get sucked into it.
Yep.
I'll get to the end of the second one, and then I'll have to watch the fucking third one to find out what happened.
We're in now. We're sucked in.
No, I mean, we could do, but we don't need the third one. But the fourth one, which I watched last month, is pretty good.
I mean, it's either genius fucking marketing from whoever directed this, or
Adam Green.
I keep wanting to say Seth Green, but it's not. It's either genius or he's the biggest fucking troll in cinema.
I went to a screening of, it must have been Hatchet 2, I think, because I met Daniel Harris there. And I'm inclined to believe that Adam Green's a bit of a troll.
Oh, I mean, what a prick.
He's not involved in the third one, I don't believe. I think someone else directs it and his name is near it and it's not as good.
Well, should we give scores at the end of these things?
I just want to point out one note because I missed it. I literally just have a note, which is just for me, about how much I love the fact that the blonde girl's ringtone was the Dawson's Creek
Oh, yeah.
theme music. And that made me really happy.
I didn't get that reference. What I was surprised at, though, is that when her torso was thrown at Ben, her tits went out, because that felt like quite an obvious trope that they missed.
Yeah, she was wearing a tiny boob tube
and
pulling it up and down a lot in the film. So, yeah.
I feel so defeated by this film. I really enjoyed it up until that point.
Yeah, I did too. I actually think it's very watchable.
I would watch it again. I mean, I'm not going to watch it right now. I need to watch the second one. But I haven't felt that pissed off by a film for a very long time.
So, marks out of 5 stars. What are we going to rate Hatchet? Penny, I guess yours 5.
Sorry, can we do it out of 10?
All right, 10, fine. God. Right, out of 10, Pen?
Well, my Hatchet Army shirt that I'm wearing, and I give it a 9.
Represent. Andy?
I think I'm also going to give it a 9.
What? And okay, I didn't expect that. A 9?
Because it's fucking insane. It's so annoyed me that it's
never 9.
It's created a reaction that they probably wanted.
Andy,
some of the in-jokes are great.
Would it help if I tell you that Hatchet 4 is basically mostly set inside a plane that has crashed in the swamp?
Okay, I'm giving this one now a 4 and Hatchet 4 a 9. I'm going to give this a straight 7, I think. I really enjoyed it up until that final point, and it ruined it for me, but it has got me wanting to recommend it to other people who are likely to have the same fucking reaction that I've had. So that's a win.
I'm going to give it a 7 as well. It's watchable. I really love the gore in it. It's proper gore. It's really good. So yeah.
Actually, can I change mine to an 8 just because the beginning was questionable?
There's a lot of questionable things in it, but yeah, it's still definitely
it's of its time.
Comfort food version of film. It's or a horror film, it's
yeah, and the gore is great.
And it's not scary and it's not anything. You can watch it and not have to worry about jump scares or something. It's just
yeah, but that raccoon bit him and that was a jump scare.
Oh yeah, in the bush, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Not as fun as crabs. You would know. Screw that waitress from Fezziwigs, man. You did. I didn't know she had bugs in the bush.
She was scratching herself all night. What do you mean you didn't know? You can't hook up with itchy chicks, Marcus. Everybody knows that.
She said it was a reaction to her fabric softener, okay? All right? I saw it. I asked.
Okay, so we are going to pull the next film for next week. Oh, God, where's my virtual hat?
Oh, no.
Have we got a Magic Hat theme tune?
Here's a hat. Here's a hat. Here's a hat. It's confirmed. Okay.
Imagine if anyone listens to this and likes it and wants to make us jingles, then we'll know we've made it.
I had no idea I was making the jingles. I just,
I'll be honest, I'm still thinking about the end of that fucking film.
All right. So the next film on our list is Dan's Choice. Yay! And it's actually a good film.
All right.
Shit, I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry. You're wearing the Hatchet t-shirt or the clothing as well. I feel really bad. The film is called Your Name. It's one of Dan's animes. Hooray. It's about two teenagers who share a profound magical connection upon discovering they are swapping their bodies, but things become even more complicated when the boy and the girl decide to meet in person. 2016, Your Name. Yeah, I love this film. I won't say any more, but I absolutely love this film. You're going to hopefully love it.
I'm excited.
And yeah, we'll be back next week to talk about that.
You can find us eventually on Instagram at Unusual Suspects Pod and on Twitter. But if you're going with last week's Twitter, we changed it.
Surprise.
Twitter needs to let you have longer names than 15 characters. So Twitter is at Unusual Podspec, PODSPECT.
Come on, Twitter, get us verified.
We can't even get a name we wanted, let alone verify.
We change next week, though.
That's how we'll know you're dedicated, because you'll find us a new one every week.
Okay, and everyone else's Twitter?
I'm at Penny_photopit.
At Joyces21.
And I'm at Dan Talks a Lot. Okay, so we'll be back next week. If you are new to this, do share this around. Let your family know. Let your priest know. All about the Unusual Suspects. We'll be back next week, and we'll be talking about films that we really want to talk about. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Toodaloo.